What's going on, guys? Coach Colin here, as always. Now, this is not the regular video that I usually do. There's a lot of information in this video, and it's information that I felt like I had to get out to you guys because it just makes the Philadelphia narrative make so much more sense, in my opinion. So, just if you're looking for long clips and things of that nature, this is not the video for you. This is me going through some information. There's still going to be some clips playing, but I'm just going through a lot of information that I've gained. And again, shout out to the two sources who let me know about some really interesting stuff. Couldn't thank you guys enough. If you want to be a source, please email me. I am open. But again, this is just some real serious information that I just had to get out to you guys. So I just wanted to do that. Let's get to the episode. It's called the elevator pitch. That's so stupid. Oh my God. So dumb. Anyways, let's get into it. Coach Colin here. Now we have a very odd shout out to the people who are sending me emails, sending me tips and everything like that. Thank you so much. It's really appreciated. Anybody who has that. The email, it's in the description. You can always contact me, DM me on any platform. I'm there. I'm the one that answers. Two separate people actually talked to me about the whole Google search thing that I did, the video that I did, that Baron Coleman actually presented to all of us. They went a little deeper into the questions that I was asking. And I've come up with this whole timeline that has happened, not just around those Google searches, but just in general. Because now that we see the Google searches and we learn about the group text messages and we know about the timeline which the Google searches happen and the events that happened within Turning Point, it paints a very interesting picture. So I'm just going to get right into that, and I want you guys to just follow along with me. There's going to be a lot of talking in this one. There's going to be some clips, but not many. So let's just jump right in. The 24-hour mystery theory. Now, this was vetted by myself and given to me from two different people who just went deeper into everything. They didn't want to be mentioned. They didn't want their emails shown or their handles or names or anything. So I made sure to just make this instead. So they're just completely out of it. But shout out to those two people. Thank you very, very much. The 24-hour mystery theory. The Utah, UVU Turning Point event featuring Charlie Kirk took place on September 10th. Everybody knows that. It's the first public announcement of the event that came from the UVU review on September 9th at 4:31 MST, just 24 hours before showtime. Now, this is very interesting, and this is something that I'm going to keep coming back to. The fact that this event was announced to the public 24 hours before it happened. This has never happened in Turning Point history. As far as I can see, if you can show me something different, please do. But as far as I know, as far as I've seen from what I've been searching, this has never happened before. That's very odd. Now, let's keep going. No prior posts, no prior press, social media mentions from Turning Point or about UVU in the weeks leading up. So they didn't tell anybody for some odd reason. Now, I don't know if this was Charlie's decision or if it was someone else's decision. Every previous tour stop in the past years was announced weeks, sometimes months in advance, and that makes perfect sense. Weeks, months in advance, that just makes sense. Gather up all the people, everything like that. And it's just so interesting that the one time tragedy strikes is the one time they decide not to tell anybody. Now, you have to remember that as we're going through all this, because there were some interesting searches. There were some interesting things that happened, but we're going to get into all that as we keep going. Now, if you look here, let's keep going down, go down. So for a national level event, you need logistics, you need revenue clearance, venue clearance, campus coordination, security normally require long notice so they can get ahead of everything. Yet somehow a full production team, stage setup, media crew, and audience coordination appeared overnight. Raises the question, was this really spontaneous or deliberately kept quiet until the last minute? Guys, listen. The glasses just broke. Listen, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, turn on your notifications. Please, that is all I ask of you guys. There's so many of you that are not subscribed. Please subscribe, especially because, eventually they're going to catch on to this Philadelphia stuff. They're going to catch on eventually. They're going to figure out what I'm actually saying. Need your help before that happens, okay? All right? Subscribe. I'm out of here. Now, there's a couple of things that I searched into a little deeper. There's something called, and you can look this up yourself if you want to really get into something. There's something called the Wayback Machine. It's a website. You can use it to view a website, and if the website's been altered, you can say, I want to see this web page 2016. It looks one way in 2025. I want to see what it looked like in 2016. And that's how people have found out certain people working with the WEF and in their whole Young Global Leaders movement. That's how a lot of that stuff was found out, through that thing called the Wayback Machine. Look it up. It's very, very valuable. So it does raise the question, was this spontaneous? Now, again, I did some research. You're going to see that a couple of these things, not really corrected, but I go a little deeper into, but I'm going to do that after I'm done the timeline. There's not much more to it. The digital breadcrumbs, independent researchers started analyzing Google searches. We already know Baron Coleman, shout out to him, that appeared days before the event. Tyler Robinson, UVU event schedule, Prove Me Wrong tour, the actual place where Charlie was going to be, not just Tyler Robinson, but also Lance Twiggs, his boyfriend, the plane that took off just after Charlie Kirk passed away, where the transponder turned off and it couldn't be tracked. So we don't know where this plane went, where it landed to. Did it go to the Middle East? Did it go to New Jersey? Did it go to Philadelphia? We don't actually know. Even the weapon, locations, everything. So you guys know about that. These are they originated in Washington, D.C. Let's move on. So that's all very weird. Now, the ChatGPT discovery trail. Now listen to this. A viewer, again, I told you, not going to name them. We can call them a source. I've never had a source before. These are my sources, and I vetted what they said. They used ChatGPT. They went through the entire history of Turning Point tour announcements. The system found no other events have ever been revealed a day before. That just doesn't happen, because Charlie was very meticulous about this stuff, and you wouldn't announce it a day before because you really want people to build up. Charlie wanted the people who loved him to come. He wanted the people who didn't agree with him to come. He wanted everybody to have full notice. The system found no other instance ever. Every previous tour announcement came weeks in advance, allowing for promo and logistics. The September 9th to 10th gap is an anomaly within the entire organization record. Now, there's a connection, Florida to Utah. Now, the connection is Charlie doing an event in Florida and the backlash that he received, and then to the Utah. So now listen to this. Prior to the Utah event, Turning Point hosted a July 13th Florida debate between Dave Smith, Josh Hammer. The entire debate angered donors and insiders because it platformed controversial voices. After that moment, blips started popping up in Google search data, began showing around July 20th. So think about that. Let me just jump over here. Actually, I have the dates. So July 13th, Dave Smith has that debate with Josh Hammer. Dave Smith wins that debate. I mean, he really wins that debate, and he has a section where he just kind of talks to Charlie Kirk on his own. So this angered a lot of people, a lot of Charlie's donors, a lot of Charlie's supporters, all of those Philadelphia types. They really, really were angry that Charlie would do something like that. This wasn't supposed to be what Charlie was doing. when it came to Turning Point, at least what his donors felt that he was doing, why they gave money, was because he was always going to be the huge Philadelphia supporter. He was never going to be the person who wants to have a dimensional, diverse conversation about it. Let's hear points against it. Let's hear points for it. That's not what these donors paid for. Most of them, you know, again, they're all in the shadows, so we'll never know who was who and how much was paid, but that's not what they were going for. He was their guy, right? So after that, the 20th, these blips start showing up. Again, the blips, Tyler, Lance, the Mauser, the I think it's the Mauser 98 or 98 Mauser, the weapon, the rifle that was found. Everything, the location, all the stuff involving Utah, all the stuff, the Tyler's lawyer, the judge's 5 replacements. It's just so many different, the plane, all of these searches pop up after Charlie has that type of debate. Now, July 14th comes around. That's not even 24 hours after the Dave Smith debate. Tucker Carlson speaks, and he says, and I should actually just go to Tucker right here. Tucker was in this speech. In this speech, Tucker says the key thing that Candace Owens actually said to Ben Shapiro, not even to Ben Shapiro. She said, you can't serve 2 masters. And in the Bible, it's talking about you're either serving God or you're serving money. That's what it usually comes down to. And you can't have 2 masters. If you're serving money, you're moving away from God. And if you're serving God, you're not even moving away from money, because God's going to provide provisions always does. Now, Tucker says that exact same thing. You can't have 2 masters. Now, people don't really know what he's referring to when he says this, but it's biblical and it's a turning point event, so it makes sense to bring it up. But Tucker's driving home a pretty solid point. Candace can't be there, and he's saying something that Candace said directly to Ben Shapiro. And Tucker Carlson does not, I repeat, does not like Ben Shapiro whatsoever. We have Dave Smith there as well. Now, let me just jump over here really quick. Where are we in this timeline? Okay, we went past the Florida. Now, the timelines don't add up. If Turning Point only announced UVU on September 9th, they still needed weeks to book travel and accommodations and secure permits and campus authorization, ship stage equipment and security gear, etc., etc. Now, that's not exactly true. That's after I've done some research. It's not exactly true. They could get some unknown people to man cameras. They could have planned this a little bit in advance. Maybe the only people that were left in the dark were the public. Again, I'm going to show you some more research that I did, because I think that was the case. So now the next part is eyes off the scene. A last minute reveal would mean minimal crowds, minimal press buildup, and few independent cameras. Now, of course, it's like you say, independent cameras, you know, people with cameras, photographers, videographers who want to set up, et cetera, but everybody has a phone in their hand. But if you look at the crowd while Charlie was doing his thing that terrible day, there weren't that many people holding phones, actually. There weren't actually that many. And we could tell by the amount of footage that's come out, we've seen maybe, 3 different views? Maybe 4 different views? That means we saw 4 cameras out of the 3,000 people. Okay? So that's very odd. And it could be because, you know, they took this, they decided to have a surprise venue in a sense. But again, I'm going to address that. Now, patterns and parallels. The strange pre-event Google searches, right? The 24-hour announcement window, the Florida fallout, and there was a fallout because, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but when we get to this timeline of Charlie's interviews and events, you know, there was some things going on that were revealed to us by Candace Owens. The absence of logistic paper trail. Together, these patterns suggest foreknowledge and control timing, not coincidence. Now, when I suggest this stuff, when I'm saying this, just know I'm not talking about Charlie. I think there was someone who was, and again, I'm not trying to throw people from Turning Point under the bus, but there had to be someone who was an insider that had this happen the way it did. Don't know who that could be. Not throwing any names out there, but and then what does all this mean? It's either that turning point, it was the most last minute event they've ever done, or someone made sure it stayed under wraps. Exactly what I was saying. So which one was it? Who actually knows? But remember this, okay? We have Dave Smith on July 13th, right? Good old Dave Smith, July 13th. Who else do we got? We got Tucker Carlson on July 14th. Then we have Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk. They sit down together, and Charlie talks a lot about how much backlash he got from having these two at his event. He talks about actually getting messages to his phone. Random people who don't like Charlie can't message his phone. He said he got messages to his phone calling him anti-Philadelphia, and it really angered him, and he voiced it in this interview. A month later, the day before he passes away, he sits down with Ben Shapiro, and he says the sentence, "Is the media really being honest with us when it comes to Philadelphia?" He goes, "Are they really telling us everything?" Odd stuff. Ben Shapiro was looking at him like this most of the interview because it seemed like Charlie was going off the books, off the beaten path that he would usually go down. Now, remember this. During this timeline, July 13th, 14th, August 6th, September 9th, during that time, there had to be a bunch of friction. That's when the friction happened. That's when the intervention happened. That's when the group text happened, where Charlie said, "We're losing another donor, and I'll have no choice but to leave the pro-Philadelphia cause." He said that. All during that time period. Oh, and I was just editing, and I realized I completely forgot this in the whole timeline of things. This is Josh Hammer, and on September 9th, he is praising a 12-year-old tweet from Donald Trump where he says should be public offing someone for all to see. It will end this BS fast. Now, he just says based. Why does he say that? Because, again, when I was talking about the pressure that was happening for Charlie, listen, I'll say this. He said that he said for some reason that it was about the Ukrainian girl and the guy who did it, but he didn't provide any context to that. So, obviously, when you learn about the group message, obviously, when you learn about the pressure from the donors, obviously, when you look at the fact that it's September 9th when he says this, not even 24 hours, like 24 hours later, Charlie is gone, right? When you learn all of that, you go, oh, I know exactly what this is. And to me, I mean, look at it. Look at it. What else does it look like? It's September 9th. He's in the group chat. It's September 9th. He's in the group chat that Charlie is in. He's one of the guys that's in the group chat. He hears Charlie say that he's leaving the pro-Philadelphia cause. And then the next day, or, maybe 2 days later, whatever, he just says this, based. And then we heard Charlie, I also forgot to include this in the video. We hear Charlie say, now this is according to Candace, 3 people, 2 have written confirmation that Charlie's afraid that somebody, they is going to off him. He feels like someone is going to take him out. He's fearful of that. I'll pair everything I just said and then pair that with this. I mean, come on, man. This is like somebody looks at you and says, hey, man, listen, I just don't want anything to happen to your car. I feel like because of what you just said, somebody might break the windows out in your car. And then it happens. And then you see that the night before it happens, your friend just makes a tweet that says, man, I'm going to break that guy's windows. And then it happens and you're like, hey, man, did you do this? And it's like, wow, you're hateful. You're hatred for suggesting that I would be the one. I would do that. But you said you would. I saw it on. No. I was talking about someone else's windows. I was talking about someone else's windows, actually. You bigot. How dare you? Anyway, let's get back to the video. And then when it hit July 20th, people started searching every element of what seems to be Charlie Kirk's tragic passing. It's very, very weird. And I just, it's just because I asked a question while I was doing that Google search video. These people were kind enough to actually dig a little deeper. And then I dug really deep into this whole thing. And all of it is just so weird. So there had to be something that was going on. And the extra research that I did was to find actually what happened. So when it came to the announcements. So this was announced. UVU student newspaper, the UVU Review, published an article titled Charlie Kirk is coming to UVU on September 9th. Which means that they didn't even have 24 hours notice. Now, it's not just that. Tyler drove as far as he did. People say it was like a couple hours. So he drove as far as he did. He did this. He made this whole plan happen on less than 24 hours notice. Somehow, because this wasn't, I guess it was announced via social media. UVU probably said it via social media, et cetera, I guess, being charitable. But as far as I can see, how would Tyler even have access to this article? How would he know? How would he get all this done so quickly? He just said, oh, is that what's happening? Seems like I have 18 hours to make this happen. Okay, jumped in the car, just went, got on a roof, bang, jumped off the roof, ran off, wrote a whole soliloquy to his lover, and then that's it. And then later on, somebody was like, hey, man, you got to turn yourself in. He was like, yeah, okay. The whole thing's weird. The fact that Tyler was able to pull this off. And again, this is me having to go into the Wayback Machine because you can't find this on the Turning Point websites anymore. You can't find this type of stuff on the UVU website anymore. That's weird too. So all of this was found via the Wayback Machine. I'm telling you, if you've never used it, use it. It's really, really good. But that's the whole timeline that I have been looking at recently. It's all weird. And thank God for Baron Coleman, because he made it so people could make these connections. Again, the fact that these searches started right around the time that Charlie had Dave Smith was on there debating Josh Hammer. Hey, look at him, just smug, just smug, so smug. And Tucker Carlson in the middle of, he is for sure, right? And Tucker Carlson saying what he said on there. It caused such an uproar that 6 days later, people started searching Tyler Robinson, Lance Twiggs, a weapon, a location, a judge, a public defender, replacements for the judge, all of these things out of nowhere, right up until the very September 9th, the day before what happened to Charlie happened. Very weird stuff. Again, if you guys have any tips at all, please send them my way. I have no problem looking at certain things. And if I think something is just not worth looking at, I'll let you know straight up. There's actually someone I have to message. They sent me a certain YouTube channel that's absolute, just terrible. So I got to let that person know not to follow that YouTube channel because it's literally just spreading lies. And it's like a faceless channel. It's like no creator that you'd know. I'm not talking smack about anybody. But yeah, please send me the tips. You can find the email. It's on the YouTube channel, but it's coachcolin3@gmail.com. All right, it's there. Please, I'm the one. You can message me on X. When I say I'm the one that answers. Message me on X. Sometimes it's my wife. X, Instagram. I'm there. I'm open. I won't get back to you right away because I'm doing things, got kids and stuff, but I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So please let me know. And do not send me any links. I cannot click your links. If you have a video that you need me to watch, send me the exact title of the video, and then I will go and search it and I'll find it. I just got to be really careful. I've seen people get their channels jacked. I've seen people get hacked. So I'm just trying to avoid all that. I know you wouldn't do that, but that other guy would, you know what I mean? So got to make sure to protect myself in that way. But let me know what you know, if you know more about this whole timeline that I just brought up. If you understand something more. I think, honestly, the official narrative, we'll see in the court of law, is, because that's always on the up and up. I mean, you saw that during, the last campaign of the now sitting president, right? You saw that? It was always on the up and up, right? They always do the right thing, right? Okay. They never take misdemeanors and make them into felonies. They never do that. Oh, okay. All right. But we'll see. But right now, the official narrative doesn't make any sense. And there's so much to look at in terms of weirdness. These searches, everything that happened to him. You don't even have to point to Philadelphia. This same thing happened to James O'Keefe. A lot of people don't remember that. James O'Keefe did a really big hit job on a really big pharma company. And the next thing you know, he got forced out of his company. And it was because of the donors. And the donors were nameless and faceless. And they forced him out. They put him through massive legal trouble. And then the company went bankrupt months later. I mean, if it's even still around, it's completely failing now because there's no one to invest in anymore. It's not crazy that powerful people who are literally holding purse strings would say, you're going to do what I say. And if you say no, they can make anything happen. I mean, is that out of bounds for most people's minds? Like, that's why I don't understand why people are attacking Candace. Is that just not a thing people think of? That they can, when you are supremely rich and you are paying a company, okay, because that's what's really happening. It's donations. But you're paying a company to talk a certain way about certain places and certain ideas, to think that those people who have enough money to say, I'm going to pay this company to say certain things and do certain things, to think that they wouldn't do anything else? That they would just be like, oh, he's talking different now. Ah, shucks. I'll take my money elsewhere. I don't know, man. I don't think you've been watching these rich elite people, if that's what you think. I don't think you've been watching enough. Anyways, guys, just wanted to bring that to you. I'm out of here.